Hi, everyone. I'm Coco. I'm one of the co-founders for Startup Lady. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know it's Tuesday night. It's a little gloomy, but we're really glad to have you here with us today. I just wanted to let you know that we're really, really grateful. And just before we start, I wanted to give a warm shout out and thank you to our lovely supporters. We have Julio B from San Diego, Miwako from London, Victor S from Tokyo, and Anthony M from Tokyo. Thank you for your support. And for those of you who are new, I wanted to let you know that Startup Lady, we bring gender equality to the startup community. We foster a safe place and a community for women and non-binary individuals so that they can find, start, and grow their businesses with inspiration, education, and support. We recently started these lives to bring value and support to our community during these times. So thank you for joining us this evening. I am really excited because today we have another one of our Startup Lady mentors, Ryusuke Komura, who is the program director of Venture Cafe Tokyo. Ryusuke has spent all of his professional life focusing on innovation. First getting his MBA at Babson's FW Olin Graduate School of Business, then improving other organizations with Globus, and then finally working closely with entrepreneurs at Venture Cafe Tokyo. Throughout the journey, Ryusuke has gotten his best ideas from the community around him. And yeah, if you want to read more on his thoughts, check out Nikkei Extend. So thank you for being with us today, dear.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yay. So, well, today we'll be talking about how to think like an entrepreneur. So I guess my first question to start off for you is, what is Venture Cafe and how do entrepreneurs get involved?
All right. So yeah, let me just explain about Venture Cafe first. So Venture Cafe Tokyo is a community innovation community builder that originally started in Boston. So as it that name says, like a Venture Cafe Tokyo. So Venture Cafe Tokyo is one of the branches that basically spread all around the world. Um, you know, of Venture Cafe. And then Venture Cafe Tokyo is the first Asian branch, and then the only one in Japan. And then our mission is actually the connecting innovators to make things happen. So nowadays it's pretty common for everybody, without collaborations, you cannot have innovations, right? So basically what we do is we foster a environment or field where innovators can mingle or exchange their knowledges, or extend their personal network. And then how do we do that? How do we fulfill our mission, connecting innovators to make things happen? Pretty simple. We run an event, big event called Thursday Gathering every Thursday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then there we provide opportunities for innovators to learn, connect, and share, right? And then we have had a great traction so far. We started out our signature event, Thursday Gathering, in March 2018. And since then, on average, I would say about 300 people join every week our Thursday Gathering. So I would proudly say probably Venture Cafe Tokyo is one of the biggest innovation communities here in Tokyo. So that's about Venture Cafe Tokyo. And then how entrepreneurs are involved with our community. It's pretty simple. Join Thursday Gathering. But it sounds like it sounds like in a way, very absurd, but it's very important for entrepreneurs because probably this is something I'm going to talk about or touch upon later on. But having personal network is pretty important for entrepreneurs. So in a way, we are providing opportunities again, for entrepreneurs to gain those a very valuable, personal network. So that's that. Is that clear?
Yeah. Okay. And well, since you get a lot of entrepreneurs at Thursday's Gathering, what kind of businesses do you see coming out at talking at Venture Cafe?
Actually, so we That's a great question, and then at the same time, it is a very hard question because our policy of running our community is open policy, meaning we accept all kinds of innovators, or I would say entrepreneurs of all kinds. You know, so scale ups, NPO, just a student who is just thinking about envisioning to start new business. Maybe in 1 year, everybody comes, and then so we support them as long as like if they have a really really true passion that they want to follow. So that's a very difficult question, but our intention is actually so we intentionally focus on, there are several like group of people that we intentionally focus on, and then I'm not gonna review everything, but maybe one is like women entrepreneurs. We want to empower uh, women entrepreneurs in Tokyo. Actually, Tokyo is like renowned for bad reputation, so we want to actually really really support them. And then maybe technology as well. We believe technology has got a very big possibility to change the world, so we want to support researchers as well, to start or to take a entrepreneur journey as well. So those two are, but there are many many like group of people we want to support, but those two are maybe some examples, and the students as well, so everybody actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But speaking about demographics of Venture Cafe Tokyo, so I said 300 people come to Venture Cafe every week. About 30% of our community members are corporate employees, and about 25% of our community members is our startups, and then 10% students, and then 5% nonprofit, government, investors, service providers as well. So that's the demographics. And then we want to support, of course, those corporate employees as well, who wants to do something new, as like a renowned lifetime employment system in a way kind of has started not functioning well. So that means like probably labor market is going to be like a liquidized maybe sooner or later. So maybe there should be a space for us to do something for them. So that's the other things too, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, you must meet a lot of entrepreneurs there. So I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about like how to think like an entrepreneur, because you have the knowledge and the experience and the exposure of all these entrepreneurs at Venture Cafe.
Yeah. Yeah. So like sorry, say it again, the question.
I was hoping to, so that now we can actually, I'd love to hear about, how to think like an entrepreneur,
Uh,
the main
right.
topic, because
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
you have all this exposure to all these entrepreneurs, like 300 different types of people coming in, and obviously not everyone's a startup, but thinking like an entrepreneur is something that I think we can all learn and benefit from. So I'm excited
Right.
to hear
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, there should be something the audience wants to know as well, I bet. So yeah. So by the way, like to start that, maybe I should talk about Babson College a little bit, because like this time I'm going to explain about how to think like entrepreneur, based on my experience plus like the knowledge or what I got from Babson College, right?
Sounds great.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So Babson College is I don't know how many people actually have heard of Babson College. It's a very small college that located in right outside of Boston, in Massachusetts, in the States. And then it focuses on entrepreneurship, and it's actually number one. It's been number one entrepreneurship for 27 years consecutively. So, and then some of the famous alumni from Babson College is like, for example, Toyota Akio, he's the president of Toyota, and then Mr. Okada, he's the top president of Eon. If you know, Eon is the Japanese version of Walmart, I would say. So many entrepreneurs, executives, have graduated from Babson College, and it's got a good reputation for entrepreneurship education. And then what makes it special is actually they have a very special methodology of entrepreneurship. And then every curriculum has been basically it's basically structured based on that methodology. So let's start. Then, like with that said, let's start explaining about how to think like an entrepreneur. And I'm going to use a document to do so. Hang on, please.
Ooh, I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right. So let me start. And then, Coco, you can stop me anytime if you have any say or question. All right.
Sounds good. And hopefully if anyone's watching the live, feel free to chat your questions to us and we'll try and address them during this live as well. So don't be afraid to chat with us.
Sounds good. Yeah, please do so. So how to think like an entrepreneur. So obviously today's topic is like entrepreneurship. But I'm not gonna focus on only like how to be entrepreneur, how to start business. This can be what I'm going to explain about is can be actually applied, applicable for anything, even in your daily lives. So don't think like that, this is only for entrepreneurs or, even only for startups. No. This is for everybody. So let's start. Let's move on, right? So the first question, it might sound weird, but let me ask a question to everybody, to the audience as well. So there is a suspicious black box. You want to know what's inside. So how would you do that? How would you know what's inside? So that's the question. Please think that. I'll give you maybe 10 seconds or so. Coco, is there any thought on that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I'd have to open it and check it out.
Open. Yes, check it out. Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, you're right. You have to open it. Why?
Because if I don't, then I won't know.
Exactly. There's no way to check out, what's inside. And then you have to take an action where you have to actually open it, right? So when things are unknown or unknowable, I would say, you have to do something to it, right? You cannot just wait, or you cannot just plan, right? Or even you cannot predict realistically or practically, right? You stand out of away from the black box and you think, oh, what's inside? But you never know. So when the situation is very uncertain, you have to take action and you have to actually open it, right? And then it's weird actually why I started talking about black box. The reason why I started with the question of black box is actually the situation is pretty similar to entrepreneurship or starting new businesses or starting new things, right? Mm-hmm. When starting, do you know like how hard it is to create a successful business? It's super hard, maybe like a 1% or 0.1%, meaning starting new things is actually very hard and very uncertain, right? So the situation is pretty similar. So therefore, when you do start things like new things or start new businesses, you have to take action, you have to move. So that's the very fundamental, basic idea of entrepreneurship. Action trumps everything. You gotta take action. You can't wait, right?
That's true, but I could say there's another way to look at this.
Yes, please.
What if I choose to run away from that mysterious box?
All right. Oh, so then you are not just interested.
Okay, so then we'll move towards it and open it.
Yeah. So actually, Coco's question is very good because actually I wasn't going to touch upon that today.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. So by the way, so action trumps everything, and then this is a methodology of entrepreneurship of Babson College, by the way, and that encourages basically actions. Take actions, right? And then the point is on the top right, you see desire, right? Everything starts from your desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, back to the black box question, if you're not interested in what's inside there, you just don't give up. You just don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, that's another issue. Actually, if I have time later on, I can talk on that. But well, let's move on anyway. So action trumps everything. It's very simple. Let me just elaborate a little bit more. So basically, when the situation is uncertain, you never know what will happen, what you get unless you take action. But basically, Babson College is telling you is actually act, but learn from that action, and then build upon your learning, and then repeat. So you gotta kind of iterate this kind of cycle many times, and then you are encouraged to gradually move forward. That's the basically the fundamental point of Babson's entrepreneur methodology. And that's something that's that's basically that's also sometimes called effectuation. So you can say Babson's methodology as effectuation, or you can just say that's the method of entrepreneur thought and action. Like the both are basically the idea. Idea is the same, for both effectuation and the methodology. So terminology anyway. But I guess the next questions you might have is this, like, so how do we effectively take action? Especially, how do we manage risks? All right, I understand take action is encouraged, but what if like there is a bomb inside a black box? Very paradoxically, Babson College encourages people not to take risks too much. Babson College teaches you basically you have to control risks very well. So like you gotta take action at the same time control risks very well. So how do we do that? So that's probably the next question.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. That does that make sense to you, Coco?
It does. I'm just curious because I have a few questions, but I'm waiting for a little bit longer, and then yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but there are some things probably for the time limitation, I'm not gonna explain everything, but I will share two ideas. So the first idea is start means at hand. Don't wait. If you like start collecting means enough to fulfill your vision that you initially envisioned, you might waste your time. So you gotta start means at hand. And then actually in this diagram, there are three questions in tiny letters. Who am I? What do I know? Whom do I know? So these questions are basically for the question, what means,
What, sorry?
What start means, right? But what is means? To answer that question, you have to elaborate, or you have to go through these three questions. So who am I? What do I know? Whom do I know? Right? So who am I basically means your passion. And what do I know? Your skills and knowledge. Whom do I know? Your network. So when Babson College says means, it means like these 3 points: your passion, your internal motivation, yourself, or I would say a whole person, and then your skills, knowledge. This can be paraphrased or rephrased as maybe a human skill, and then your network, and then this can be rephrased as a social capital, So these three things are basically means. Then you have to start these means at hand anyway. You got to take action. You can't wait, to collect, or you can't like take many time to collect, means, and then like maybe your life just ends up, right? you gotta take action with the means you at hand, right?
That's true, but that is honestly the difficult part.
Yeah. So let me just share a case, actual case. So and then we can discuss that. So this is the case, Adam's case of Adam from Aoi Ship. Adam is the founder of Aoi Ship. That's a basically social media powered e-commerce platform that bridges Japanese fashion to to the world. And then last year, Aoi Ship was selected as one of the 10 startups, of Prada-sponsored global accelerator program. So big success. So I'm just should share deep dive into this point. Start means at hand with his case, right? So these are the actually the means Adam had very initially. So passion, he just wanted to deliver Japanese fashion to the world. And the knowledge, he just knew Japanese brand wants to share their fashion and culture overseas. And then this is also the knowledge, but they do not have, right? And whom do I know? Or personal work. So he started he came to Japan maybe 2017 or 18-ish. And then he used to belong to communities like Startup Lady, and the Luwagon, in a Venture Cafe Tokyo.
I know he met his co-founder at Startup Lady, so I'm
Exactly.
super excited that he's mentioned here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think that supports my presentation very much.
Yes, indeed.
So what did he start, or how did he start? Yes, he started just pitching, sharing his idea through his personal network.
Yeah, his first pitch was with Startup Lady. We did a collab event with Tokyo Tech Startups. It was fun.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's the thing. So you anyway start means at hand, right? Pitching, and then finding team members, right? And then finding team members and pitching, first funding, rocket pitch night, plug and play, Tokyo Tech Startup, and then finally Prada's acceleration program, right? So he didn't get selected for Prada's acceleration program instantly. He actually took steps. He started means at hand first, and then he took action and action after and after, right? And gradually he progressed. In the end, he got a Prada's acceleration program, right? And it's very unique. He said it's like a snowball. If you keep I can see it. If you keep rolling, then the snowball gets bigger and bigger. I really like his quote. So the entrepreneur journey is pretty much like that. You got to take action with the means at hand, but you can't just stop. It's not a snapshot. It's a continuous journey. It's a continuous process. Entrepreneurship is, right? So again, here I would say action trumps everything. And then if I add something, continuous action actually trumps everything.
That's true. I mean, it sounds like a key part is figuring out how after you get started too. And I think one of the difficult things that, many of the people in our community face is how do you continue?
Yeah.
How do you not give up?
That's true. That's a great question. Maybe that's gonna be something related to the next point. By the way, this is another case. So woman, she's also took an action. Very simple thing. She didn't even have a business plan when he pitched, but when she pitched, right? But she shared her draft idea anyway to the community, Venture Cafe Tokyo. And as a result, she found a partner to co-develop a product, CKH, and then the mentor from a startup leadership program. That's a basically mentoring or incubation program from Boston. So maybe my recommendation, what I can share is take action anyway, even if it seems like a super small, but nothing would happen unless you take action, right? So it can be just a simple thing, it can be just a don't be afraid, just take a step anyway. Otherwise, nothing would happen, right? Again, action trumps everything. So how do we continue to move forward? And then to that question, maybe this is something relevant. And then this is something called affordable loss, by the way. The idea is, this is a very powerful tip to take action. So think about the horse racing. You go horse racing and you want to bet. And then now you have $1,000 in your hand and then you gotta bet anyway. But that gives you back a lot of money, but you might lose. Never know. Can you take action easily? That's the question. Maybe like if you are super duper rich person, you know, you might not care about $1,000. It's a small money. But for me, I'm just an ordinary person working for a non-profit organization. $1,000 is a super big money. Probably I feel hesitant, you know. Maybe like I'm gonna use that money for a good dinner at a restaurant. I might feel that better, you know. So you feel hesitant anyway, this case. But think this way. Suppose you know you can afford to lose $500. Okay, you have $1,000, but and then out of that money, you feel it's okay to lose $500. Then would that change your perception? It's a question, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to go bankrupt, you know, when you, especially things are super uncertain, like starting new business, you know. So don't take a risk. Then that would actually stop you to pursue your opportunity or your passion, right? So always like calculate the risk and always know how much you can afford to lose. You know, so that's another tip to take an action.
That's true. But so we have a question from Joyce Lau from Facebook.
Yes.
What do you do with an idea you're passionate about but aren't an expert in? Because it's true, depending on how knowledgeable you are on something, that also kind of changes what is the loss that what can you afford to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any advice regarding that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would think I would come up with two things actually. The first thing is like so again, this is something I wasn't going to touch upon today, but there is another tip for taking action. Enroll others to join your journey. You know, your knowledge, your skills, your network is usually very limited. So it's always better to have your buddy, right? That brings you maybe luck or additional, knowledge or skills. So I'm an entrepreneur also. I started Venture Cafe Tokyo as an entrepreneur in 2018. Then what I've been doing is actually asking people a lot, relying on people a lot, because I understand that I cannot do everything. So I cannot create website, even a website. I gotta ask somebody. But
And
then,
it's really hard too.
yeah, it is right.
Yeah.
So taking action,
So
and then
sorry.
the second thing is I actually found. Yes, please.
No, it's actually
Okay.
the second part of Joyce Lau's question, and I think it's really relevant. So I wanted to ask it like on this person's behalf. But like, how do you meet or approach people who may be able to help you with materializing the idea?
Go to
I
Venture
think
Cafe.
that's what you're maybe like starting to talk about. So
Yeah. Go to Venture Cafe.
and come to
But
stand-up lady events.
yeah, itself, lady. But I would say, yeah, but seriously, you go to venture. I mean, the events like that are hosted around Tokyo or around the world, where innovators, gathers. So I think that's a major way, and that's why we do, Thursday gathering every Thursday, right? To push, to to accelerate innovations, right? But at the same time, I would recommend you to be I would recommend you to be true to yourself, because like you have to kind of foster kind of feeling in a person's in person, or in person you're talking to, for example, that like oh, I want to help this person, right? I want to support this person. And then to foster that kind of feeling in the person, you gotta be true to be yourself. I really solve this problem. This is my passion. For example, I grew up with a family, this kind of circumstance. I see the problem there, especially in Japan. In households, this kind of problem is happening, and I really want to help solve that problem. And if that sounds really, really true, then people feel, okay, I really want to support this person. So that's another, I would say, recommendation for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And like another thing that I'd like to ask is how early should someone start with an idea? Because the thing is, you meet people, you see a need, you see that, this is something that other people might feel the same way about.
Yeah. Again, I think my recommendation is now. Unless you can take the how do you say, the with the affordables, you don't, for example, like you want to test the testify your hypothesis on the market needs, right? And then like your research on the computer, it says, okay, to test your hypothesis, it takes like $1 million, for example. You don't want to do that, right? But so like under, how do you say, under the with the risks you can control, take action anyway. Or with the risk you can afford to lose, just take action. So my answer is now. Early stage, early is a very subjective term, right? When is our early, right? It really depends. So now is the time, take an action.
So it's never too early to start?
Yeah, now.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, if there's no questions for that, I can wrap up my presentation. And then but there's another actually power to make people move, so that's fun theory. Have fun, and you cannot help taking action, I would say. So this is the experiment done by Volkswagen in Stockholm. So there was a health problem. Everybody tended to select escalator instead of what's that, stairs, right? And then there was a problem with health problem, like a diabetes, no, like how would you say, like a fat, like a, well, anyway, like so health problem, right? So they want to reduce solve the problem. And to do that, so people wanted to, or government wanted to encourage people to take stairs more, right, than escalators. But how did they do that? How did they kind of encourage, transit, from escalator to stairs? So they put they create a piano with the stairs. If you step on that, and then it sounds like a piano, right? So then people started using stairs more. So why is that? Fun. Find I think that one of the strongest power to make people move. So I explained something in a way very academic, but have fun. Otherwise it's super boring. You don't want to take action, right? So it's important to have fun anytime. So again, to wrap it up, I don't think I'm going to talk about this like deeply. So what I've been talking about is something called creation or effectuation, or entrepreneur thought and action, all the same things. Yeah. But and then even in Japan, it's a very how to say, very traditional society. and then planning, prediction is like considered to be more important. But even in Japan, in Tokyo, people just have started realizing, okay, taking action is important. But taking action or reaction is not viable or is not useful all the time. Again, the big premise is like a situation is uncertain. Maybe you gotta take action. Otherwise, you never know, right? But think about when things are certain. Maybe it's better for you to predict or plan or to think. Like for example, what if like a black box was like a skeleton? The black box I showed at the very beginning was like a very how do you say? It's a very clear. You can see through what's inside, and you clearly see the bomb inside. What would you do? You think maybe you run away, right? So again, I just don't kind of innocently encourage everybody to take action, take action, take action, take action. I want to actually say that you gotta be kind of in a way very smart, and then you're to kind of to tell which is like now suitable or which is like appropriate in the situation you're currently in. So that's something called cognitive ambidexterity, right? So that's the last point I wanted to touch upon. So that's everything for today. But if there's any question, I can answer.
So, no, thanks for that. I mean, definitely having a presentation and visuals is very helpful for me. It's always nice. I love visuals. So thank you for putting that together for us today, Liu. I have a question from from Ved from Facebook. Any suggestions for how to balance income versus your entrepreneurship dream? At the moment, my main work brings in money while my venture does not. What is the right balance to strike? How to switch to something new?
Sorry, say it again, please. Like, because my English is not that great.
Yes, of course. So we have a question from Ved on Facebook.
Right.
Any suggestions for how to balance income versus your entrepreneurship dream? At the moment, my main work brings in money, which is the case for a lot of people, but my venture does not. What is the right balance?
Right. That's actually question frequently asked. And it's not like my answer for that is like, so entrepreneurial journey does not necessarily have to be black and white decision. You can pursue your opportunity unless you're like, as long like, how do you say, you can pursue your opportunity without quitting your job. For example, you can start your entrepreneur journey as a parallel career, right? And then you testify, you kind of experiment there with affordable loss, right? You still secure your main job, and you secure still like a revenue stream, and then you experiment your entrepreneur journey as a parallel career, and then you experiment there, whether you like it or not, or whether it works or not. Then if it works, maybe like you might want to quit your job then, right? Or if it doesn't work, you can get back to your original job, So that way you can control, or you can, mitigate the risks.
But how, like, I think that is the difficult part, though. I mean, as an entrepreneur, like, how do you know when things are working? How do you know that it's still worth continuing and trying? How do you know? You can try things and things can succeed, but I think like, the concern that Ved has here is that it is difficult to figure out at what point you are in life. Like, sometimes things go well, sometimes things don't. When do you make that decision? What
Really,
shows, like, what signals show success? You know,
right.
that's worth taking more risk.
That's a great question, and I have to say it really depends. Yeah. But let me share an example or case of one entrepreneur, or actually a group of entrepreneurs. They started a business called えっとね、タスカジじゃなくて、タスカじゃなくて、カジタクじゃなくて、I forgot their name. I created, I authored the case of them, but I forgot their name. Well, anyway, like they started the business of matching site, no, the housekeeping service or housekeeper service. Is that correct? I don't know how to call it in English. So anyway, like they created a service of with the web platform. You know, then there people can actually make a reservation for housekeeping service. You know, before that there weren't many services like that. Everybody needed to call, actually make a phone call to the company and then say, okay, I want to get a housekeeping service. Can you? And then the company usually send out the agent to the house and to households, you know, and ask like the requests, because like, you know, Japanese households do not like getting strangers in, so they needed to have a really like a very thorough process to kind of, you know, to figure out what is the needs of customer, and then at the same time company needed to kind of reassure, you know, client feelings. But before that business there weren't many housekeeping service that you can make a reservation with the web platform. So they created web platform anyway, and then so they and then there so three guys actually started the business, and then they quit when um, after the beta test, after the first experiment or market after the first market research. That is basically that they created the web platform asking, you know, this type of housekeeping service with web platform is going to start. You know, if you're interested, please like subscribe to our newsletter and things like that. And then they saw a great traction on that. You know, I forgot the exact number, but there were many page views and many subscriptions to that website. That time they didn't even have a business. You know, they just created a website, you know, one pager, and with the function of collecting, you know, email addresses. That's it. But they saw a great traction there, so they quit. But at the same time, why I said it depends is like because it's because like they had a good career actually. They had a very good background. For example, one of the founding teams was actually he is still a lawyer. So even if like a business goes like bankrupt or goes wrong, you know, he can. I'm pretty sure he can, you know, get another job as a lawyer. So it really depends on like really depending on what you have now, and then yeah, it really depends on what you have, you know. So I think that's something I can share, you know.
Yeah, and I think like another question comes to time, like to mind, is a difficult question actually, where, you know, when you're alone, it's easy to act. But for example, like with the team that you mentioned, how do you
Oh,
act? How do you act with a team, and how does a team act together as an entrepreneur? Because, like for example, this team had one person who is a lawyer. Obviously, this person can just, you know, regardless if it fails, it's okay. But what happens to this person's co-founders? So how do you think together as an entrepreneur?
so that's something, that's another like a things I mean, conflicts among the founders is something we really oftentimes see. For example, this is a case from Babson College student. So there are two students who are trying to start a new business, and one of them is really, really committed to studying the business. And then one day, he realized that um, the other guy went out for a walk with his dog, right? And he was like, "Hey, I'm so committed to this business. Why are you so like not serious? You know, why are you there with your dog? You know." He was so furious. You know, so I would say, so that's why, finding a right member, finding a right team member is very, very critical. You should want you should want to find a person who can commit to the your business to the at the same level. If not, like maybe like you might not call him or call her as a co-founder, right? You can just hire him as a supporter, or one of the as a or as a one of the employees, right? So finding a right team member is very important. Yeah.
So, I mean, in theory, yes, that is the right way to go about it. But it's like, even with friends or a partner or like with business, it's difficult because sometimes, like maybe one day, like right now, we're friends. Maybe we have a really great friendship, but then maybe one day we will have a big argument, or we start realizing that maybe, I don't know, you start deciding, oh, I want to listen to music. And then I might be like, I don't want to listen to music. I just want to dance to music. What happens when like you feel like your goals or your values or the way you commit yourself starts to change at some point? In the beginning, they might have been the right person, but that might not be the case later on. What do you do then?
You gotta let him go. You gotta let her go, because that's why finding a right team member is very important. And also, like you could do something to it, maybe even after having started new business. Maybe like, for example, Venture Cafe Tokyo started with a team of 4, but now it's more than 10. And then, of course, like, yeah, thank you very much. Um, you know, it could happen all the time that maybe one of our members leave our organization. That's going to be inevitable. So, but to reduce that possibility, for example, we just had a retreat, talking about the vision, mission, and then there what we emphasize is like inclusion. Our organization is not something like a top-down organization. Okay, I'm the boss. You do this, all right? No, that's not our organization. You are part of our family. You are part of our organization, and then maybe vision you created is something like this, but after say 8 people joined, maybe it's not viable anymore, right? So mission might, you don't want to change the mission every year, but maybe like for vision you can kind of maintain every time, and then sometimes like maybe how to say, you might want to modify a vision, kind of reflecting the new members, visions as well, right? So you have to always unite those like organize, people's feelings or vision or mission or passion or whatever, right? And then organization team is not a snapshot. Okay, our team is something like this. That's it. No, 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 no. This is also a creature. It changes, right? So you have to maintain that change as well as your team or as your organization grows, right? So I think that attitude is very important.
That's true. Well, I think like that kind of really gives us all a lot to think about. So I think the quick recap of today's live would be, the importance of your attitude, figuring out how strong is your desire for something, working with change all the time. And there is really no day than today to start, right? There's no day as being you're never going to be too early. And definitely, I think that one of the main points that you also mentioned was the importance of recognizing what you know and who you know, and not being afraid to take the risk is
Yeah,
kind of the keys for an entrepreneur, right?
yeah, yeah, correct.
Okay. Well then, Liu, thank you so much for joining us today. I
Mhm.
know you've been a mentor of Startup Lady for quite some time, so I'm really happy and excited to have had this chat with you.
Yeah,
And
likewise.
yeah, and I hope like everyone who joined today's live learned a little bit or gained something, or it's questioned something about your life for you to work on. And once again, I'd like to thank all those people that have been supporting us. We are a volunteer-based organization that is focused on bringing value and support to the community. But of course, we are also doing our best to continue what we're doing and do the best that we can. So please do, if you enjoyed today's live, support us and let us know if you have any particular topics that you'd like to hear more about. And just like a quick info, we've launched our Startup Lady membership. It's a free membership. We're starting to put together resources and special discounts, and we have like a private mastermind Slack. Maybe you will come join us someday and chat. But yeah, hopefully you'll join us. And if you like today's live, for sure, make sure to tune in again. Our next live is going to be with Jen Wu, who is an advisor to Startup Lady, who she is the CEO and founder of Cookhouse SF. She will be calling in from San Francisco to talk about balancing life and work as an introvert. So this will be on Sunday, July 19th at 12:30 Japan Standard Time, which will be Saturday, I think July 18th at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. So wherever you call in, make sure you check on the times. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for tuning in with Startup Lady. So thank you and have a good evening.